Daniel Ricciardo, great to see you back here in Miami. First things first, what was it like meeting Anne Hathaway?
Lovely to be back in Miami. Well, I mean, look, I was just more taken back because it was, I was like just kind of patiently waiting in line for the whole photography thing. And then, it was more her reaction where I was like, huh, what just happened? So I was, I was really just stunned, just like, yeah. It was fun.
I am not a lip reading expert. Did she say, I'm a big fan of you, or I'm a big fan of F1?
Look, we can believe what we want to hear. No, so she definitely said my name, and then I think it was followed like, I'm a big fan of F1.
I love it. I love it.
But there was like heavy brackets like Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah. I think she
Yeah.
said, I'm a big fan of you.
Yeah. It was cool.
We'll go with
I remember
that.
I just said, I was like, oh, that's amazing. I was like, I'm flattered.
Yeah. So flattered. So what is the invitation process like? How does that come about? Is it from Anna Wintour, from Vogue? We're talking about the Met Gala in case you didn't catch that Daniel Ricciardo was there this past weekend on Monday night. Or does it come from Tom Brown, the designer you wore?
That's a great question. So, so the invite was from Tom for his table, but then everything runs through
Anna.
Yes. The great. So I was, so she, because I actually got sent a clip where she's like going through.
The tables.
Yeah, and like, no, don't want them there. Hopefully this list disappears. Like, it's a thing.
It is.
So yeah, there is most certainly a, you need the nod from Anna. So, yeah.
You got approved.
I was quite relieved.
Did you reach out to people, friends that had been in the past? I know Lewis is gone. Did you text him and say, what am I in for here?
So prior to that, I was in LA for about a week or so, and I actually caught up with a few friends who had been before.
Okay.
So there was like probably 2 or 3 that I asked. Sorry, I'm just saying, I don't want to be like, oh, I asked this person, because I don't want to be that guy who's name dropping. But yes, there was about 2 or 3 friends in LA who I asked, and they filled me with like a lot of comfort, and they were like, look, yes, no, but like no one's got a +1 unless you're a VVIP. So everyone's kind of in the same boat. There'll be a lot of people, it's their first time as well. So you'll just naturally mingle and meet. And also what was like nice before the red carpet, like you're kind of just all there in a line, like
Waiting for your
yeah,
photo.
waiting. So like you're there for probably 30 minutes. So that's when actually I met quite a lot of people and chatted and made friends for then the evening.
Who maybe did you meet that you really enjoyed or surprisingly got on well with? Not that you wouldn't get on well with anybody, quite frankly, but
Well, I mean, there was people I'd met before. There was then like some that I hadn't met before, but I was like, I knew that we would get along. So
Yeah.
like Matteo Berrettini,
Sure.
tennis player. So kind of we saw each other straight away. I was like, oh, like, hey man. And I think having like Italian, obviously my Italian background, I spoke a bit of Italian with him. So yeah, like we got on. I feel like in a way we look kind of similar. In a way, maybe just because we got Italian blood. And then Olivia Rodrigo, she was really nice. I was seated next to her on the Tom Brown table. So yeah, that was like, there was just some cool conversations I had. I'm going to probably get his last name wrong. Alexander Skarsgård? Is it Skarsgård?
the actor,
Yep.
you nailed it. You
He
nailed
was
it.
great. Look, I don't want to like, there was
Name
a lot
drop,
of people.
for sure.
And I got to shout out Trevor Noah because I'd met him before, but he was kind of like he was my first friend, and he kind of talked me through the night and like
Nice.
introduced me to people. So he was like,
You've done a
He was
shoey
my
on
older
his show,
brother.
have you not?
yep. So
Okay.
he was sweet.
That's awesome.
He looked after me.
He was your handler for
Yeah,
the
my
evening,
handler.
making introductions left and right. All right, let's get to racing. Have you been in the RB19 yet?
Every time I always just think of cars like, oh, it's a 2023 car.
Yeah.
So every time I'm like, wait, what
Have you
model is
been
that?
in Red Bull's 2023 car?
Not yet. I've been in the simulator, but I will drive the RB19 in July after
July,
the Silverstone
okay.
race. I'm getting a Pirelli test,
Nice.
and then maybe I'll get another one after Monza as well in September. So a couple months away, I'll get to feel what it's like.
What are you most excited about? Obviously, it's by far and away the best on the grid.
Yeah, like certainly excited to drive, a fast car, but also, a car that maybe still feels familiar for me. it does a little bit in the Sims, so like there's an element of that where I'm like, okay, but I'm just excited to drive again and just try to remind a team, obviously I once had a lot of success with, that I can still turn a fast lap.
Yeah. When we spoke on Unlapped in New York for the Red Bull launch, you were at peace, obviously, with your new role with Red Bull. Since then, I think the quote was some itches have been scratched, so to speak. So what's the process for you to get back on the grid in 2024?
Yeah, I'm definitely still in like a really good place. I'm very happy with this. Does it mean that I'm happy doing this for the next 2-3 years? Probably not.
Sure.
But I think for this year, it's certainly a good thing for me. I do want to, like right now, yeah, I do want to get back on the grid next year. I do feel like there's certainly some unfinished business, and yeah. So, but you know, I'm staying like in the loop and staying prepared and whatever. But I'm also ticking a few boxes that if I do get back on the grid next year and I'm on the grid for the next 5 years, for example, maybe there's things that I won't get a chance to do. So. I want to tick some boxes this year for myself, for like some self-fulfillment. The New York Marathon got mentioned. I had a few friends run it last year and I was like, that looks pretty cool. So there's these sort of things that I'm thinking about. And obviously in a regular season, I wouldn't get the chance to do. So I'm like, I kind of want to put myself out there and do some things like that this year.
Would you be able to go do the New York Marathon tomorrow, or would that take some training? Like, are you fit enough to go do it right now?
I would need to do like specific training for running. Like I do run as part of just kind of staying healthy and fit, but I'm not running enough miles at the moment to like jump into a marathon tomorrow. So I wouldn't back myself to run one in 24 hours. No, I need a bit more prep for that.
That would be awesome though if you get to do it this year.
Thanks.
How would you describe this racetrack?
I want to say it's going to be better this year. Last year it was challenging. It was certainly challenging because it was a new track, but it did fall apart a little bit. It was some corners were a little bit broken away. The chicane I didn't love. It was so tight. And yeah, so I know they've opened it up this year. I think they've kind of modified maybe the curbs as well. So it's going to be a better version of last year. I also try not to like go too hard on a track in their first year because there's always going to be a few things you're going to find out. So I think the drivers will enjoy it a bit more this year and look forward to hearing their feedback.
You've won races while obviously being Max Verstappen's teammate. Checo and him are neck and neck there in the driver's standings. Just kind of what's the mindset fighting your teammate for wins?
I mean, it's a good problem to have. Let's start with that. You know, it's better to be fighting them for wins than fighting for 10th place. So I think it's hard to think about that because you're so caught up in it. You're like, I just want to beat that guy and that's it. But yeah, you have to also get a bit of perspective. Like, okay, it's a good position we're in. But yeah, obviously your teammate a lot of the time is your biggest rival, but you also have to understand that it's not just you two. There's a whole team behind you. Like a lot of people put a lot into it. So I think, like I look back at, say, myself and Max in Baku in 2018 and like I just think a few years removed from that, like we would handle it differently. I think we just, it's maturity, you know, as well. Like you understand a little bit more and it's not just about us, but also like the sport's intense and these things can happen. So I'm not saying these things will never ever happen again, you know, through the history of the sport, but just it's also exciting. Like the fact that that's still talked about 5 years later, like, all right. For me and him, it wasn't cool that day and the bollocking we got afterwards, but whatever. It makes the sport what it is.
It makes it unbelievably unique, different than any other sport that you could watch. Lastly, of the drivers currently, who do you think would be most likely to get a date with Taylor Swift?
Definitely not Alonso. Like, I called BS on that from the start.
Did you? Okay.
I hope I wasn't the only one as well. So let's just clear that one up. T-Swizzle. I don't know. I think someone who is certainly interested in the arts.
Okay.
She definitely strikes me as a pure artist, you know.
Charles, good on the white keys.
he got the old piano going the other day. I saw that.
I think Nick DeVries does as well. I think he's into piano.
On Shantae, all right. I think they've got a starting chance for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, anyone who appreciates the arts, let's just summarize it there. I think Alonso, I think he appreciates racing, probably only racing. I feel like anytime I see him do anything, it's just racing. So that's why I kind of quickly cancelled him out of that conversation.
That's the only reason why?
Yeah, let's be nice. We're getting some giggles at the back here. All right.
Daniel Ricciardo, always great to be with you. I appreciate the time. Cheers.
Thanks a lot. Muchas gracias.